Picture this. You're sitting at home, maybe scrolling through your phone or watching TV when suddenly everything goes dark. The hum of your refrigerator stops. The air conditioning cuts out. Your Wi-Fi router's lights blink off. And this time the power doesn't come back on in 5 minutes. It doesn't come back on in 5 hours. Days pass. Then weeks. Welcome to a total blackout, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to survive the first 30 days. Now, before you think this is some doomsday fantasy, let me remind you that extended power outages are becoming increasingly common. In 2021, Texas experienced a power crisis that left over 4.5 million homes without electricity in the dead of winter. At least 246 people died. In 2019, Venezuela faced a 5-day blackout that affected 70% of the country. Hospitals lost power. People were trapped in elevators. The results were catastrophic, and with climate change intensifying, extreme weather events are happening more frequently, which means power outages are becoming a regular part of modern life. The question isn't if you'll face an extended blackout, it's when. So let's talk about what actually happens during a total blackout. This isn't just about losing your Netflix access. Within hours, your food starts warming up. Your phone battery drains. If you're on a well system, your water stops flowing. Gas stations can't pump fuel because their pumps need electricity. ATMs don't work. Traffic lights go dark, creating chaos on the roads. And if this blackout stretches into days or weeks, things get serious fast. Sewage systems can fail. Medical devices stop working. The temperature inside your home becomes dangerous, whether it's a heat wave or a winter storm. Understanding the scope of the problem is your first step to surviving it. Let's start with the absolute basics, because in a 30-day blackout, getting these wrong could literally kill you. Water, food, and shelter. These are your survival trinity, and we need to address them in that exact order because you can survive 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. Water is your #1 priority. The average person needs at least half a gallon of water per day just to stay alive and healthy, but that's only for drinking. When you factor in cooking, basic hygiene, and sanitation, you're looking at 1 gallon per person per day minimum. For a 30-day blackout, that means each person in your household needs 30 gallons of stored water. Now, if you're thinking that sounds like a lot, you're absolutely right. A family of 4 would need 120 gallons. That's why you can't just rely on stored water alone. You need multiple strategies. Before the blackout hits, fill every container you can with clean water. Your bathtub can hold between 30 and 50 gallons. Water bottles, cooking pots, clean trash cans lined with food-grade plastic bags. Even your washing machine can store water. But here's something most people don't know. If you have a standard 40-gallon water heater, that's an emergency reservoir sitting in your basement right now. There's a drain valve at the bottom. Learn how to access it before you need it. The water inside might be hot initially, but it's safe to drink. Now, what happens when your stored water runs out? This is where purification becomes critical. Boiling is the gold standard. Bring water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute at sea level, 3 minutes if you're above 6,500 feet. This kills bacteria, viruses, and parasites. But here's the catch. Boiling requires fuel, and fuel is precious in an extended blackout. So you need backup methods. Water purification tablets are compact and effective. Chlorine dioxide tablets can make questionable water safe in about 30 minutes, and they work against a broader range of pathogens than iodine tablets. For a more sustainable solution, invest in a gravity-fed water filtration system. These require no electricity and can filter thousands of gallons. Systems like the Berkey or Life Straw family use gravity to push water through filters that remove bacteria, protozoa, and many viruses. Some people overlook this, but you can also purify water using regular household bleach. Use standard 5.25 to 6% bleach, unscented. Add 8 drops per gallon of clear water, 16 drops if the water is cloudy. Mix it well and let it sit for 30 minutes. There should be a slight chlorine smell. If not, repeat the dose and wait another 15 minutes. A single gallon of bleach can purify 3,800 gallons of water. That's a lot of security for $5. But what about sources? If you've exhausted your stored water and your taps have run dry, you need to know where to find more. Rainwater collection is ideal if you have the setup. Natural sources like streams, rivers, or lakes can work, but they absolutely must be purified. Never, and I mean never, drink from these sources untreated. Even crystal-clear mountain streams can harbor giardia or cryptosporidium, parasites that will make you violently ill. And in a 30-day blackout, getting sick from contaminated water could be a death sentence because medical help might not be available. Now let's talk about food. In the first few hours of a blackout, your refrigerator and freezer become ticking time bombs. Here's what you need to know. An unopened refrigerator will keep food cold for about 4 hours. A full freezer will maintain its temperature for roughly 48 hours or 2 days. A half-full freezer will last about 24 hours. The key word here is unopened. Every time you open that door, you're bleeding cold air and reducing that window. So immediately after the power goes out, take inventory quickly and then seal it shut. Leave one light switch in the on position so you'll know instantly when power returns. For perishable food, you're in a race against time and temperature. The danger zone for bacterial growth is 40 degrees Fahrenheit and above. After 2 hours at this temperature, most perishable foods become unsafe. Use a thermometer if you have one. If food in your freezer still has ice crystals and feels as cold as if it were in a refrigerator, you can refreeze it. But if it smells unusual, has an odd color or weird texture, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out. Food poisoning during a 30-day blackout could be catastrophic. Your real food security comes from non-perishables. You should have at least a 2-week supply, but for a 30-day scenario, more is better. Focus on items that don't require cooking or refrigeration. Canned goods are your best friend. Meats, vegetables, fruits, beans. They're nutritious, long-lasting, and ready to eat. Don't forget a manual can opener. I've seen people with hundreds of cans and no way to open them. It's almost comical until you're starving. Peanut butter is an excellent high-calorie, high-protein option. Dried fruits, nuts, granola bars, crackers. These are all shelf-stable and energy-dense. Rice, pasta, and oats are great if you have a way to cook them, which we'll get to in a moment. Speaking of cooking, if you have an electric stove, it's useless in a blackout. Gas stoves, however, will still work, though you might need matches or a lighter to ignite them since the electric ignition won't function. For those without gas, a camping stove that runs on propane or butane is invaluable. But here's the critical safety point. Never, ever use these indoors without proper ventilation. Charcoal grills, camp stoves, generators, all of these produce carbon monoxide, an invisible, odorless gas that kills. Use them outside only, at least 20 feet from windows and doors. If you try to heat your home or cook indoors with these devices, you're playing Russian roulette with carbon monoxide poisoning. Another cooking method people overlook is solar cooking. If you're facing a long-term outage during warm, sunny weather, a solar oven can cook food using nothing but sunlight. You can even make one yourself with cardboard boxes and aluminum foil. It won't replace a stove, but it conserves fuel and works surprisingly well. Now let's address the elephant in the room: temperature control. Depending on when this blackout hits, extreme temperatures can be more immediately dangerous than lack of food or water. Humans are fragile when it comes to heat and cold, and your home, without power, becomes just another box subject to the elements. In extreme heat, your priority is staying cool and hydrated. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke are life-threatening and they can develop quickly. Move to the lowest level of your home. Cool air falls, so basements or ground floors will be the most comfortable. Close curtains and blinds during the day to block out sunlight. Open windows at night to let cooler air in, then close them in the morning to trap that coolness inside. Wear lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting clothing. Cotton is best because it breathes. Drink water constantly, even if you don't feel thirsty. By the time you're thirsty, you're already becoming dehydrated. Wet towels or bandanas and place them on your neck, wrists, and forehead. These pulse points help cool your blood. If you have access to it, take cool, not cold, showers or baths. If the heat is truly unbearable and you have the ability to travel safely, seek out public cooling shelters. Many communities open these during heat emergencies at places like libraries, community centers, or shopping malls. Cold weather presents a different but equally serious challenge. Hypothermia can set in when your body temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and it doesn't take Arctic conditions. Even temperatures in the 50s can be dangerous if you're wet or inadequately dressed. Layer your clothing. The key is insulation and trapping body heat. Start with a moisture-wicking base layer, add an insulating middle layer like fleece or wool, and top it off with a windproof and waterproof outer layer. Focus on extremities. Wear a hat. You lose a massive amount of heat through your head. Thick socks, gloves, and a scarf are essential. If you have a fireplace or wood stove, now's the time to use it. But be absolutely certain your chimney is clear and functioning properly. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a risk here too. If you don't have a fireplace, create a small, insulated space within your home. Pick one room, preferably one without many windows, and concentrate your heating efforts there. Hang blankets over windows and doorways to create barriers. Use the body heat of everyone in your household. Huddle together. Share blankets. It might feel awkward, but it works. You can even create a makeshift tent inside your home using mattresses and blankets, like an indoor camping fort. It traps body heat and keeps everyone warmer. Here's a critical warning. Do not use your gas oven or stovetop to heat your home. It's incredibly dangerous and can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning or even explosions. Similarly, never burn charcoal indoors for heat, and absolutely never run a generator inside your home, garage, or any partially enclosed space. These are deadly mistakes that claim lives in every major blackout. Let's talk about sanitation, because this is where things get uncomfortable, but it's absolutely critical. After 72 hours without power, sanitation becomes a serious health concern. Waste management might not sound glamorous, but improper sanitation leads to disease outbreaks, and in a 30-day blackout, that's a nightmare scenario. If you're on city water and sewer, your toilet might still flush, at least initially. Standard toilets with a tank work without electricity. You can manually flush by pouring a bucket of water directly into the bowl. But if you're on a septic system with an electric pump, or if municipal water pressure has dropped, your toilet becomes a problem. Here's the solution. The bucket toilet system. Line a 5-gallon bucket with a heavy-duty trash bag. After use, add a layer of cat litter, sawdust, wood ash, or even shredded paper. This absorbs moisture and controls odor. Tie up the bag when it's about half full and store it in a sealed container away from your living space until trash services resume. It's not pleasant, but it's sanitary. For liquid waste, some people use a separate bucket to reduce the load on the solid waste system. There's an old saying, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. In other words, conserve your flushing for solid waste. Hygiene doesn't stop at waste disposal. Hand washing becomes incredibly important, but water is precious. Use hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol content. It's effective against most germs and doesn't require water. Wet wipes are also invaluable for cleaning hands, faces, and bodies when showers aren't possible. Stock up on these before the blackout. If you can spare the water, sponge baths work well. Heat a pot of water, mix it with cold water to get a comfortable temperature, and use a washcloth to clean yourself section by section. Oral hygiene matters too. Brush your teeth, but use bottled or purified water. Poor dental health can lead to infections, and you don't want a toothache or abscess during a 30-day blackout. Garbage management is another issue. Without regular trash pickup, waste accumulates quickly. Store it in sealed containers away from your living space and away from your home if possible to avoid attracting pests. Reduce waste by minimizing packaging and composting organic materials if you have space. Now let's address lighting. When the sun goes down in a blackout, darkness is complete and disorienting. Do not use candles. I know they seem like the obvious choice, but they're a massive fire hazard, especially when you're exhausted and stressed. House fires during a blackout are often fatal because emergency services are overwhelmed or can't reach you. Instead, use flashlights and battery-powered or hand-crank lanterns. LED flashlights are incredibly efficient and can run for hours or even days on a single set of batteries. Stock up on extra batteries and store them properly. Hand crank or solar-powered lights are ideal because they don't rely on consumable batteries. Keep at least one flashlight in every room and make sure everyone in your household knows where they are. Glow sticks are another option for ambient lighting. They're safe, long-lasting, and great for kids who might be scared of the dark. Speaking of power, let's talk about keeping essential devices charged. Your phone is your lifeline to the outside world, your source of information and emergency communication. Conserve battery aggressively. Lower screen brightness, close unnecessary apps, turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi when not in use, and enable battery saver mode. Use your phone only for essential tasks. A fully charged power bank can give you multiple additional charges. Better yet, invest in a solar charger or hand-crank charger. These allow you to generate power independently. For larger power needs, a portable generator can be a lifesaver, but use it correctly. Generators must be run outside, at least 20 feet from your home, and never in a garage, carport, or near windows and doors. They produce carbon monoxide, and it will seep into your home and kill you. Connect only essential appliances directly to the generator using heavy-duty extension cords. Never connect a generator to your home's electrical system unless you have a proper transfer switch installed by a professional. Information is power, especially in a blackout. You need to know what's happening when power might be restored and what dangers might be developing. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio is essential. Look for models with NOAA weather radio capability. These broadcast emergency alerts and updates from official sources. Keep it tuned to local stations for news. Don't rely solely on your phone for information. Conserve that battery for emergencies. If you do use your phone, download offline maps of your area before the blackout if possible, and save important contact numbers. You won't be able to Google them later. Safety is paramount in a blackout. If power lines are down, stay far away. Assume every down line is live and dangerous. Keep children and pets away and report down lines to your utility company if communication is possible. Avoid unnecessary travel, especially by car. Traffic lights will be out and roads will be congested and dangerous. If you must drive, treat every intersection as a four-way stop. Medication management is critical, especially if you or a family member relies on refrigerated medications like insulin. Insulated coolers with ice packs can extend the life of these medications, but you need to plan ahead. Before a blackout, talk to your doctor about emergency supplies. In some states, if a state of emergency is declared, you can get an additional 30-day supply of prescriptions even if you're not due for a refill. Keep a written list of all medications, dosages, and prescriptions in your emergency kit. If power is out for days and you're concerned about spoilage, contact your doctor or pharmacist. Do not take medication that you suspect has been compromised. First aid knowledge is invaluable. Hospitals will be overwhelmed or inaccessible during an extended blackout. A comprehensive first aid kit should include bandages, antiseptic, pain relievers, antibiotic ointment, tweezers, scissors, a thermometer, and any prescription medications. Know how to treat common injuries like cuts, burns, sprains, and fractures. Take a first aid course if you haven't already. It could save a life. Mental health is often overlooked in survival scenarios, but 30 days without power, routine, or normalcy takes a psychological toll. Boredom, anxiety, fear, and isolation can be as debilitating as physical challenges. Combat this by maintaining routines as much as possible. Wake up at the same time, Eat meals on schedule and go to bed at a regular hour. Structure provides comfort. Keep yourself and your family occupied. Board games, cards, books, puzzles, anything that doesn't require electricity. If you have kids, create activity boxes with special items used only during blackouts. This turns the experience into something novel rather than terrifying. Music, even without power, can lift spirits. Acoustic instruments or singing together can help. Physical activity is important too. Exercise reduces stress and keeps energy levels up. Even simple stretching or walking around your neighborhood, if it's safe, makes a difference. Community and communication with neighbors can be incredibly valuable. Check on elderly or vulnerable neighbors. Share resources if you can. A strong community network makes survival easier for everyone. Establish a system for checking in on each other daily. Knock on doors, leave notes, whatever works. Isolation is dangerous both physically and mentally. Let's talk about security. Unfortunately, during extended blackouts, crime can increase. Desperation drives people to do things they wouldn't normally do. Keep your home secure. Lock doors and windows. Don't advertise that you have supplies. Be discreet. If you have a generator running, the noise will attract attention. Be prepared to protect your resources, but also be willing to help neighbors in genuine need. There's a balance between caution and community. As the days stretch into weeks, resource management becomes critical. You can't afford to waste anything. Ration food and water carefully. Calculate how much you have and how long it needs to last. It's better to eat smaller, more frequent meals than to gorge and run out early. Conserve fuel for cooking and heating. Plan meals that require minimal cooking. Reuse and repurpose everything. That empty can become a drinking cup. Cardboard becomes insulation or fire starter. Creativity and resourcefulness are survival skills. When power finally returns, and it will, don't just flip everything back on immediately. Electrical surges can damage appliances and electronics. Plug things in gradually, starting with the most essential items. Check your food carefully. Discard anything that's been at unsafe temperatures for too long. Restock your emergency supplies immediately. Replace used batteries, canned goods, water, and anything else you depleted. Evaluate what worked and what didn't. Adjust your preparedness plan accordingly. The next blackout might be just around the corner, and now you have real-world experience to guide you. Here's the bottom line. Surviving the first 30 days of a total blackout isn't about luck. It's about preparation, knowledge, and mental resilience. The families who make it through extended outages with minimal suffering are the ones who prepared before the lights went out. They stored water and food. They had multiple methods for purification and cooking. They understood the dangers of carbon monoxide and temperature extremes. They maintained sanitation and hygiene. They kept their minds occupied and their spirits up. They worked together and helped each other. You now have the knowledge. The question is, will you act on it? Don't wait until the power goes out to start preparing. Start today. Build your emergency kit. Learn your backup systems. Practice your plans. Talk to your family. Because when that blackout hits, and statistically it's increasingly likely that it will, you'll be ready. You'll be the calm, prepared person who knows exactly what to do while others panic. You'll survive, and you'll help others survive too. The first 30 days of a total blackout will test you in ways you've never been tested before. But with preparation, knowledge, and determination, you won't just survive. You'll come out stronger, more capable, and more resilient. The power might go out, but your ability to endure doesn't have to. Stay prepared, stay safe, and remember that in a world increasingly dependent on electricity, the ability to thrive without it might be the most valuable skill you ever learn.